Hey eBay sellers, you have landed on episode number 121 of eBay the Right Way. I'm Suzanne A. Wells, your hostess, and our guest today is Brett in Virginia. Today's date is July 12th, 2023. Now, last week I mentioned that Lynn in New England would be this week's guest, but thanks to the joy of technology, the recording was corrupted and not usable. So Lynn has graciously agreed to a do-over, which will be coming soon, because you simply must hear about her mudlarking experience. And I'm really just sick about this because I hate wasting people's time, but this was a technology issue and could not be helped. Okay, on to announcements. I haven't given you an update on the premium library since May, so here is a quick recap of what has been added in May and June, and so far in July. We have another installment of the golf shirt course. There have been 5 bulletins, each including current events, updates, and a BOLO that I have not put out anywhere else. So if for no other reason you want to watch those bulletins to find out about the BOLOs that I'm learning, because I learn new stuff every day. Okay, there was another lesson in the ephemera course, and ephemera is paper stuff, such as concert tickets, postcards, handwritten recipes. All those kinds of things do have value. Another installment of the hat course with a vintage style hat that you may not know the name of. I've done a brand spotlight. Also another installment of the plush course, a keyword lesson, 2 Q&A audio files, so those are like podcasts that you can listen to, and an update on the USPS Ground Advantage, which started on July 9th. I have a video there showing you what it looks like. I jumped on printing labels the day that change happened so that I could see what it looks like and make a little video tutorial so you can see what it looks like if you have concerns about that new service. All of that adds up to 3 hours of new content. Of course, as a member and even on the free trial, you have access to all material, which is over 500 lessons. So it's not just the new stuff, and everything is downloadable. You can download every single thing in the premium library to your computer and keep it forever. So all that is there for you. And if you look below, you will see a link to the premium library and a coupon code to give it a try if you have not yet. Okay, on to the chat with Brett.
Hello, listeners. We're back with another fun and fascinating seller chat. And I have Brett with us today. And where are you located?
I'm located over in Salem, Virginia.
Virginia. Okay. My birth state. I was born in Charlottesville.
Oh, awesome.
But I don't remember any of it. So
Yeah.
it's just on my birth certificate. So that's good. Okay. Well, I reached out to you because you have been doing a fabulous job answering questions on the group. And at one point you said something like, I've been selling on eBay for 20 years and this has never happened, or something like that. So I was like, wow. Did not know that. So it's fun to chat with sellers who've been around a long time as well as newbies, because everybody has a different story. So
yeah, definitely.
What brought you to eBay initially?
Initially, I was working for a company in Michigan as a manager at an inkjet remanufacturing plant.
Okay.
And a couple years before that, I was starting to sell here and there, dabbling with eBay, trying to make a $5 profit, $10 profit, 20. And wasn't really taking it seriously. I was trying to make a little extra money. And there was one year that as a manager, we get like bonuses every year, depending on how the company does. And one year, the bonus wasn't so great. And I was like, well, maybe I could find out how to get my own bonus. And I thought about eBay. I started searching even more to look for product that could make me more than $20 profits or $50 profits. I'm like, I'll make my own bonus. What really pushed me hard into eBay was one day I was at a yard sale. And at this yard sale, this lady, she had a bunch of these dolls, vintage dolls everywhere. I'm like, what are all these dolls? She's like, well, this is my daughter's old collection. She's just ready to clear out some of her, dolls that she has. I'm like, okay. So I start comping some of these dolls, and a lot of them weren't really worth much until I came across this one doll. This doll was called an Alta Ferga doll. And I believe the doll is from the 50s or 60s. I think it's like an Italian doll. And most of these dolls, they're only asking about $8 a piece. And when I started looking up this doll, there were comps going for $400 or more for this doll.
Wow.
Not only did it have the doll, it was the doll with the original box, had 5 original outfits with it. And so I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll buy this for $8. I also found another doll there as well. It's a Chrissy doll. It's an ideal Chrissy doll. I think that's from the 70s. Also $8. Comp that, it was pretty good also as well. And that was around $100 for that. And so I went home, I listed it right away. Within 45 minutes, the Alta Ferga doll sold for, I believe it was over $400. And then the Chrissy doll took me about a week, and that sold for $100. So out of $16, $500 in sales.
Yeah, that'll get you hooked. And so when was that?
That was back when I think it was about a couple of years after I started selling on eBay. I started selling eBay in 2003. So I think it was probably about 2005 is when I sold those.
Okay.
And that's really what pushed me forward to start selling. When I was a kid, my dad was in the Navy, and he would go to different places and bring me back coins. And I felt like I had treasure, when he brought those coins to me. And so that kind of pushed me as a kid to invest in stuff. And I guess it kind of pushed me to like invest in eBay and selling stuff. So I started collecting sports cards, stamps, comic books. And I really wasn't into that stuff. I only bought those things because I knew I could get a return on them. As a teenager, age of 12 or 13 is when I was collecting. I was having this mindset, hey, I can make money on this stuff. I didn't like watching sports. I didn't like reading comic books, but I did those things because I knew, hey, one day these are going to be worth a lot of money.
Well, and that's pretty smart for a 12, 13-year-old to think that far ahead.
Yeah.
So, but I guess you were around that with your dad.
Yeah. That sparked my interest. Plus, also when I was a kid, I'd watch movies like Indiana Jones or The Goonies, and I was like, wow, it'd be so awesome to find those treasures. So at one point, I wanted to be an archaeologist and be able to find those things, which it didn't happen because I got married and ended up having 5 children.
Oh, wow. 5.
Yeah. Yeah, 5 kids. So that wasn't reality for me because, life was busy with a family and can't be traveling the world. And so once I found eBay and I was finding treasures around me, I'm like, hey, I could just be a antique archaeologist and looking around and finding this stuff and selling
different
it.
kind of archaeologists, right?
Yep. So that really sparked my excitement in finding those treasures around me.
Okay. Now you said you work a regular full-time job in addition to doing eBay?
Yes. My wife and I have been married almost a year.
Congratulations.
I did go through a divorce and I got remarried, and she has 5 kids as well.
Oh
So
my gosh.
with us total, we have 10 kids, so we're more than the Brady Bunch.
So are they all in the house with you, or some of them grown and gone?
There's 3 left. 2 are going to be in their senior year of high school, and the youngest one, he'll be a freshman this year. So, yep.
Okay. So you have 3/10 of them at home.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's manageable. Good, good. Okay. But that is a lot.
Gaining my sanity back.
So your full-time job is what?
My wife and I, we have a residential cleaning business together.
Okay.
So we work pretty much Monday through Friday. We set our own schedule. You know, we can go on vacation anytime we want, which is great. It's kind of like what I've always wanted. I never went full board selling full-time on eBay. It's always been part-time. So I've always wanted to have my own business. And when I met my wife, and she already started this cleaning business a year before we met. And so we just grouped together as a team, and here we are today.
So I have to ask if that ever leads you to your clients. Do they know you sell on eBay? Do you ever get stuff like, oh, we're cleaning out, do you want this stuff?
Yes, I've actually had a couple times where like, hey, if you ever have any stuff that you're wanting to get rid of, I could take it off your hands. You know, if something I can't sell, then I'll donate it for you. I actually had a conversation with one of our clients, and they invited us for coffee one day because we're doing a climb across the street from them. And then, hey, come on over for some coffee. And then got in the discussion of eBay. The wife started asking me like, hey, I have this antique abdominable rowing machine from the 1920s. I'm like, wow, that's awesome.
Oh gosh, that's definitely antique.
Yeah. And so she brought it out to me, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool looking. It was in its own box still. I don't know if it's original box, you know, like suitcase, whatever. Opened it up. I'm like, wow, this is pretty interesting. And so I started looking up on the comps on eBay, the Terra Peak, and try to get some ideas of what it was worth. And I looked over at her. So what do you think this is worth? She's like, I don't know, maybe $50. I'm like, much higher. And she kept going. I was like, it's about between $500 to $600 for this. And so she's like, well, will you please sell it for me? And asked, how much, will you charge? And I said, well, there's eBay fees, there's shipping charges, and, I said, well, we'll do 50-50 on this. And he said, she agreed to it. Her husband actually worked for a broadcasting company for the BBC. I don't know where he accumulated or obtained this item. I asked him, how much did you pay for it? He said, well, I probably didn't spend any more than $100 for it. So I took it home. I listed it. I listed it high. I listed it for $899, free shipping. About a couple of days later, I wake up and it looks like somebody had placed an offer, but then they took their offer back and then bought it for full price.
Oh.
Yes. I had to eventually cancel the order because they wanted me to ship it next day. They want the next day, and I was offering free shipping, so I had to cancel it, relist it with the next day expedited shipping, and that shipping cost about $500 for them to get it. Because it was going all the way from Virginia all the way to Washington.
Of course, it's always the other side of the country.
Yes. And so with everything said and done, with taxes, shipping, it was like $1,500 the customer paid for it. During this whole transaction, the customer's like, great, awesome, I really need this item. It's for a TV show, a TV prop.
Okay.
I'm like, if you don't mind me asking, and I thought about what you said about, hey, ask questions like, what's going on with this? I'm like, so if you don't mind me asking, what is the TV show? And the show was Riverdale. Okay. I've never seen the episodes.
I haven't either, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, and they said Archie, which I guess is one of the main characters. I guess the TV series is based sort of on the character names of like Veronica, Archie from Archie comic books.
Right.
So I guess this show is based on the 20s, 30s, I think. And so Archie will be on this machine, is what I was told. It'll be on an episode on the CW network and on Netflix in August.
Okay. So that was a recent thing.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Good. So we'll look for that. How interesting.
Yep.
Because that was going to be my next question. Why would someone need an antique rowing machine the next day?
Yeah.
What are you doing with that?
Yeah.
So it wasn't very big.
Yeah, it was probably no longer than probably 3 foot long.
Okay.
Yep. So I had to package that really well because I was really scared. That was one of my highest sales since doing eBay. And I was like, want to make sure that wasn't going to get damaged, but
So how much did you pay the lady who had it?
so the time we did fees and everything, I paid them $490 and I got about $490. So we did
Okay.
a
So
50-50
you
deal.
split it. Okay.
Yep. So me not spending anything at all, I got $490 pretty much free and clear.
Hey, that's the way to do it. I'm finding that getting stuff directly from people is a great way to get things in really good condition, unusual stuff. Because, if you just go to thrift stores all the time, you're just seeing the same things over and over again. And
Yes.
so did you build a relationship with this lady, like telling her, hey, if you've come up with anything else, let me know?
I actually have 2 other things they've given me already.
Okay, what are those?
The one thing is an antique clock. Can't remember the name right offhand, but it's pretty neat looking. It's all wooden. You have to wind it up. I have to fix a little pillar. It's a little loose, but I've seen comps from between $300 to about $1,500. So I need to do a little more research on that. She's excited about that. Either way, she's making some money on that for sure.
Is it a Seth Thomas by any chance?
Yes, that's what.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
Wooden mantle clock. Yep.
I have one of those. It was my grandmother's. They got for a wedding gift, like in the 20s.
Okay.
It has cycled down to me. And that's like one of those treasures that I'll never sell just because I don't have very much from my grandparents. One thing I have from my grandfather is a telegram when I was born. It's
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm sure people buy that kind of stuff, but that's like a treasure. And like you said, the clock does not work. I'm sure I could have it worked on so it would work, but
Right.
I just like sitting looking at it.
Yeah, I tested it all out. It kept good time. It ding every time on the hour. I had to do a little research, so you have to do something with the hands and turn them around until it gets the right hour. And I was like, oh, okay. Yep. And the other thing,
did you say how much you have it listed for, or you haven't done it yet?
I've not listed it yet. I just want to make sure it's completely working correctly, which I think it is. And I just want to make sure there's nothing that's damaged or loose on it before I list it.
And what kind of price do you think you'll get?
If it's working correctly and it's exactly like the other one I've seen, I think no less, I believe probably $1,000.
Yeah, I would think that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, I'll always ask a little bit higher.
Right, of course. Yeah, of course.
Like, oh, I got a great deal.
Okay, that's a really fun vintage, antique item. So good luck with that. And what was the other thing?
The other thing is it's an umbrella, and it has, I don't think it's real gold, the handle. The handle has what appears to be copper or gold looking metal on it with the pearl looking stuff on the handle as well, like mother of pearl.
Mother of pearl, right?
Yes. And that doesn't sell for as much. The comps are kind of all over the place with that. It's probably between $40 to $50, I think. Mm-hmm. And the umbrella's got holes in it, like some mobs have just eaten it up and said, how many?
Well, it sounds like a good prop or conversation piece to stick in the corner, whatever. So are you splitting the proceeds with her on that one, or?
Yes, I'll do. Yeah. This is the first time I've done this with anybody. When I first sold for them, that I'm gonna start looking into doing that a little bit more. Stuff I don't have to invest in. It's free for me. I list it, but of course I told them like, hey, I can't give you any of the money till 30 days to make sure the customer's happy with it.
Thank you for thinking of that. That's the one drawback of like consignment is you do the work and it may not sell.
Yep.
And the people have to understand you have to wait until the return window is closed to make sure everything's good before I give you the money.
Yeah, I definitely want to tell them, ahead of time, like, hey, 30 days. If you don't want to do that, it's understandable, but you have to wait 30 days if you want the money.
Well, I don't think it's a coincidence that you're talking about this way of getting inventory, because I'm starting to do that too. I've been listening to, reading and on the Facebook group. So many people do this. Carlos Chavez, the mailman, he's got people on his route. They know he sells. You've got Zach, the garbage man philosopher.
Yep.
He's got a bunch of contacts. Of course, George Kelly, and then Jane with her own thrift store. She tells people what kind of stuff she'll take. Yeah, I'm having some business cards made up that says, I buy all kinds of crap.
Yeah.
Trying to make it a little lighthearted, and then listing what kind of things I'm looking for.
Exactly.
Just, call or text. You don't even have to do email. And then you can just get photos from people. And, if it's somebody, like a friend of a friend, you can go to their house, like if it's not a complete stranger. But,
right.
You could do a lot of this just by texting photos and telling people what you're looking for, because once you start giving people money, they are going to keep contacting you. That's what I hear.
Oh yeah, this one client, one thing to be in 3 total things.
And to be honest, I'm just kind of burned out with thrift stores because it's the same stuff over and over. I'm never going to see a big box of handwritten letters. I'm never going to see some of these things people come up with that they get at garage sales and estate sales. It's like, how can we make this more efficient and get the items coming to us?
Right.
And, like I said, they're in better condition if they've been in somebody's house their entire life, and they haven't been manhandled through the Goodwill system and the bins. And
right.
You got to wonder how much stuff is damaged and broken during that process that, no wonder we don't see more items, different kinds of items. So we're on the same wavelength there, because you work a full-time job. And so you don't have a lot of time to go treasure hunting.
No, I don't. It's mainly on the weekends. And I do have 6 Goodwills around me, plus a bin store that's all within 20 minutes from where I live here. And every now and then when I get there, most of the time I can't really find anything. One of my items that I look for quite often at Goodwills are printers. Inkjet printers, toner printers. Toner printers probably sell a little bit better than the inkjet printers. Get more value or return from those. I've been selling those for pretty much ever since I started selling on eBay. The company I worked for, they were an inkjet remanufacturing plant. So they'd have lots of printers to test these inkjets. So I knew them kind of inside and out from working with the printers there. So I started looking for them more often. They were hot sellers back in the day. I would find them by the boatloads at Goodwill. I would find 10 printers at one time for $5 to $10 a piece.
Yeah, I see them all the time, but then I'm reluctant because how do I know if it works if it doesn't have a cartridge in it? Do you buy a cartridge to test it?
Sometimes the cartridges are in it. But yeah, if I feel like I get it home and it seems to be working, I will order a cartridge. I order my cartridges on eBay because they have really cheap ink on eBay. Yes. So to test these printers, if the price is very appealing to me, if it's under $20, and I know the printers usually that I pick up usually sell between $100 to $300. And if I only spend 10 to 20 and mostly shipping, if I ship it to, the farthest places like California, I'm looking at maybe $40, $50 shipping it there. That got me kind of into selling printers quite often. And I usually don't hold on to them for very long. So Goodwills, you can get lucky to finding some printers. My suggestion, if you are wanting to get into printers, make sure you have good size boxes, big boxes. I find mine from the recycled bins that we have here in Salem. They're free, of course, and I can find boxes there. I have my good inventory of those for free. And styrofoam. Styrofoam, if you're selling any type of vintage, heavy electronic or printers, you definitely want to have styrofoam on hand.
Those blocks.
Bubble wrap will not work.
Yeah, you need that to create the nest in the middle and have the blocks. that are
Yes.
very sturdy. Yep, I can see that. Well, that is outstanding that you're selling printers for 100 to 300.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've
Good
got
for
one
you.
out in my garage now that I need to test. I had to buy a new print head for it from China, and that
Mhm.
took a month to get that, but they're a lot cheaper to order from overseas. You try to buy something like that here in America, it's $100 just for that new print head to put in that printer, and it's $30 at the most from another country.
Do any brands do better, like HP or what?
Yeah, HP. I don't like the small inkjets cartridges that are in most of those printers because they evaporate quite quickly. And I think that was
Mhm.
HP's plan. But there's some tank type cartridges. Those type of printers sell more often than the smaller inkjet cartridges. Toner printers, no matter what brand, they sell for really good money.
Mhm.
Yeah, can't go wrong with toner printers. But
So
I don't.
like, what are some other brands? Epsom and
Epson, I don't like. Again, it's the small cartridges.
mhm,
Um, Brother printers, worst for inkjet printers.
worst
I
ever. Okay.
I could buy 10 and maybe one would be good out of
Uh-huh.
all of it because they're just poor quality.
Okay.
Lexmark, that's a breed that's not around anymore. That's
Mhm.
gone. Those don't sell. But
Because you
Brother,
can't buy the cartridges for them,
you
the
can.
Lexmark.
Yeah, you still can. They
Oh,
just
you
don't.
can? Okay,
Yeah,
that's just
they're
not
just not.
desired.
Yeah, I walk right past Lexmark. The only ones for Brother are toner printers. They sell really well. Those I'll buy. Canon toner printers, not Canon inkjet printers,
Okay.
but HP, the tank type, and of course the toner printers for HP as well sell really good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I mean, I feel like a lot of people are moving away from printing anything.
Yeah.
Everything's so electronic. Like you just need a document, you can put it on your phone, like, do you really need to print things these days? I mean, everything is online, like, signing documents for anything. Surprising that you're doing so well with those, even though we feel like we're living in a world where people don't print anything anymore.
Yeah. I think there's still a lot of people out there that not ready to take that extra step to like use their cell phones. Cause I have a lot of clients that they don't like to shop online or, go forward with technology and they want to
Well, I
use the
don't
old.
like to do everything on my phone because it's so
Yeah.
little. I mean, I know people that they do everything for their eBay from their phone. And I guess I like to sit at my desk, my giant command center with my big monitor and
Yeah.
do
I have
stuff.
my giant desk behind me from the 90s back here.
Hey, whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
But I think people assume, with like Kindles and e-readers and Apple books and all the things you can do without paper that
Right.
people are moving. I'll always be a paper person. I'm just a writer downer. I like to make lists. I like to
Yep.
journal and write down ideas. There's just something about
Mhm.
holding that writing utensil and touching the paper, and it's just coming straight from your brain through your hand. And
Right. Yeah.
get that same connection. I don't electronically, like books. I tried it. I did not like it. I
Mhm.
like holding the book and turning the pages and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Well, I like writing stuff down for like my new projects.
Right.
When I started organizing my shelving in my garage, I have a 24-foot by 24-foot garage that I keep my eBay inventory in. I built all my shelving in there, got a bunch of clear bins so I can see my product. They're all labeled what location, at my phone, I've got it on each of my listings of where it's located at. So when it sells, boom, grab it, package it. I have all my boxes by size out there. So if it's a smaller item, I go right to my small pile. And
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely like building things. I built a shed for our garden supplies, a little garden shed outside, so I could take the garden supplies out of the garage
Right. Okay.
and make
Yeah.
more room for eBay stuff. So
Right. Okay. How many items do you have in your store?
I currently have about 487.
Okay.
My
That's
goal
good.
is hopefully by the end of this year, be closer to 1,000 is my goal.
Mhm.
It wasn't till probably about last year where I got close to over 400 plus items listed. I could never seem to get past like 200, 250. I
Mhm.
had quite the death pile building up in my garage. And then my wife and I got together. She's like, we need to get this stuff listed. It's not going to sell if it's just listening, laying there. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So to my wife and a guy that I hired off of Marketplace, Facebook,
Mhm.
he was doing some work for me beforehand around the yard. And I'm like, hey, you want to help me list some stuff on eBay? He's like, sure. And so, I paid him for every item he listed. And between all three of us, we probably listed at least 200 to 250 items. I was trying to get it all listed before November came, because November was probably last year the first month that in all the years I've sold the most. And I sold 80 items in that month, which is
Mhm.
pretty good for me as a part-time seller.
That's
I
a
feel,
lot. Yeah.
yeah, I might have a spending like, oh my gosh, well, like Scooby-Doo, like zoinks.
Well, that's, 3 items a day almost.
Yeah,
So that's a good pace. Of course, it doesn't go like that. It's like 12 items in a day and then nothing for 2 days. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's a lot. So about how many items do you sell a day?
I'm averaging, I just checked recently for the past year, I've been selling an average between 20 to maybe close to 30 items per month. So
Mhm.
almost one per day.
And that's a good pace for someone that has a full-time job and a family. And I mean, you have a
Mhm.
life. So
Yeah.
uh, good for you. Well, let's talk about some other things you sold.
So back when I first started, I started looking on Facebook Marketplace for inventory as well. And I noticed this moped that they had for sale. And I think they were asking $300 for this Solex moped. And I believe this moped was, I think it's either France or Italy, one of those, can't remember. And with this moped, when you pedal it, you can ignite the little motor on the front of where the tire is at. When you put the little handle down, it then becomes a moped. It's actually looks like a bike, but little motor in the front wheel.
Okay.
And so I went to check this item out. He said it didn't run. Um, I offered him $250 for it because I was seeing comps going for quite good money. And so I got it home. My son and I, we couldn't get it started. Try to clean it up. We got the chrome cleaner out because it had lots of chrome everywhere. The chrome was kind of like looked like a little bit of rust, but it came right off with the chrome cleaner that we were using. Made it nice and shiny. Still couldn't get it to run. I listed it on eBay, and then I think within a month it sold for $1,000.
Wow.
Yes.
And so
Yep.
I'm guessing that was local pickup.
Nope. It actually was going to Maine.
You shipped a moped.
Yes.
How
And
much
that
was that?
actually it was pretty inexpensive. I think at the time, I think I only paid, I think it was like $100 to ship it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did is I used what was called UShip, and it's an app you can download on your phone. And there's people locally, they'll come, and if they're going to a certain state, and they're delivering other stuff for other people, they bid for your business on the UShip. They come pick up your item. You show the listing is sold on eBay, and then they can just take it there, and I'll get confirmation to the customer that it's been received. So, yeah, of course, you're going to mark it as freight, and then
Mm-hmm.
until then, hopefully the customer gives you feedback, and so.
So tell me again, was this something unusual or didn't make it anymore or what? Why was it $1,000 value?
Because there weren't a lot of them listed on eBay at the time. I think there's only a
Okay.
couple. And I even said it doesn't run, but it does sound like the motor's turning over a little bit, which is a
Uh-huh.
good thing that the motor's not seized on it. I can actually get it to turn.
Right.
And so yeah, they were completely happy with the item and excited.
So 250 into 1,000 in a month.
Yes.
Like where else can you do that?
Right. Yeah.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
Legally. Legally.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is the first time I've ever heard of someone selling a moped. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. I just hadn't come across that yet. But
Yep.
okay. What else you got?
When I first moved here to Virginia, it was about 2016 is when I moved here from Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably the following year. I went to a Goodwill here in Salem, and they had a painting. Um, I really like oil paintings. I don't know why. When I seen this oil painting, I was like, wow, this looks really old. The frame is definitely old. It's got dust on it. It had a small little tiny hole in the corner. And this painting was floral still life in a vase on a table. And I can see the name in the corner. I looked it up, the artist on my phone, and I can only find a place on the internet. I can't remember where, but it looked like it only sold for like $100. Well, they're only asking $5. I'm like, I'll take a chance. I think it's $5. If I don't get anything for it, I guess I'll have a nice painting on my wall.
Okay.
So I started doing research on this man who his name was Dr. August Scheidel. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he was one of the first entrepreneurs in Australia to open up a cement industry in Australia. And this was back, I think, in the 1930s or 20s when he opened up this cement factory. And I guess the last few years of his life, he decided to get into art. So he started painting. And so I'm like, oh, I'll put that into the story of my listing. Okay. And so I probably had this painting probably listed probably over a year. I had it listed. I put the price up high. I think I was first asking like $1,200. I come down to $1,000, and I kept coming down to $800. And then finally, somebody sent me an offer of $625 for a $5 painting.
Ah,
And guess where it was going?
Virginia.
It was going back to Australia.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. So through the
All
international
right.
shipping program, it sold. And I wish I would have asked, hey, are you related to this person? Is it going into a museum? But yeah, I was excited. And it cost probably about a little over $100 to ship it because I wanted FedEx to insure it and package it. And
Right.
normally I'm comfortable with shipping my own paintings, but that was going all the way to Australia.
Yeah,
And it was a high priced painting. So I'm like, I'm not taking a chance.
right.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
So they received it fine and they were
Yeah.
happy.
I didn't hear any complaints. I didn't get any feedback.
I know. I never ask for feedbacks. Just don't poke that sleeping dog. Just no news is good news.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was $5 painting from Goodwill.
Yes. Yep. Yep. And I've got several other paintings I've not listed yet that I'm trying to find the artist, but sometimes it's really difficult. I have some really nice paintings that I found for under $10.
Do you have an art background?
I do not. I have a computer science background. That's about it.
But you're just drawn to these paintings, and I think that's interesting. That like, why am I fascinated by this? I have things like that I'm drawn to, and I have no history with these items. I don't have an education about these items. It's just, oh, I think somebody would like that.
Yeah, I've sold several paintings throughout the years, and people thank me like, I love this painting. It looks good. Looks good in my house.
So yeah, you just have to go with your gut sometimes, and don't question it. Just if you're drawn to it and it works for you, and you don't mind shipping stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind shipping at all. Yeah, I'm used to knowing how to package that type of stuff now, and it gets there safe every time. Knock on wood.
Well, I commend you on that. Good for you. So any other items on your list to talk about?
Oh, yes.
Okay, well, keep going, because that's what the listeners like, is what other people have sold, because it means it's possible. Like, you did it, so other people can do it.
Right. Oh, this is a story back in Michigan. I was going to this yard sale, and there was this box full of lights, vintage lighting, and there was no price tag on it. And I'm like, hey, how much do you want for this box of, industrial lights out over here? And like, make an offer. I'm like, $20, it's yours. I'm like, awesome. There probably about 8 to 10 lights in this box. And there was something else on the bottom of the box that I couldn't tell what that was, but I'll tell you that here in a second about the story of what's on the bottom of the box.
Okay.
So I got these lights out. I listed them. There was a store somewhere that wanted all of them. And I paid $20 for the box. And then, like I said, there's 8 or 10 lights. And I think those lights sold for over $300 total with all of those together.
Now, what kind of lights were they?
They had, I think they had some type of decorative metal on them. I can't quite remember exactly what it looked like, but I know.
So was it like a light fixture or string lights or?
Yeah, it was a hanging light.
Okay.
I think they had chains, and they had the old porcelain kind of fitting to screw light bulbs into. So they were pretty old. So those sold for a good price, and they sold pretty quickly. I think within a few months those sold. So the bottom of the box. This is probably one of the weirdest finds I've ever found in my 20 years of selling on eBay. I didn't know what they were. All I seen that there was these names. There's a couple different brands stamped. They're all metal. Well, I started researching what they were. They were antique obstetrical, like birthing.
OBGYN lights.
yeah, like tools that look like they were.
They were tools. They weren't lights. Sorry.
Yeah, the medieval, like helping to, bring the baby out.
Like medical artifacts.
yeah, and these things were old, and so I already sold the lights. That was $300 out of that box. There were probably about 5 or 6 of these tools that were in there, and they sold the low end at $150 all the way up to $300 a piece.
So you listed each instrument separately?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And they sold probably within a few months. There were collectors reaching out like, hey, we take this. And I was like, whoa, I've got a gold mine here.
Yeah, that is unusual. And the fact that you didn't even know what they were.
No, until I started.
Yeah, you think about medical museums and that kind of thing. Did any of them go to anywhere obvious like that?
No, there's nothing that indicated that I could remember.
Individual collectors.
Yeah, this was in the beginning years of me selling on eBay. I think after a few years of me selling. So yeah, it was a really great find. Yeah, it was interesting. And at the same sale, they also had antique like dental tools as well, and sold those for some good money. And they weren't as much, but I think anywhere between $30 to $50 a piece, but still paying only a few dollars for the tools. Can't complain.
I know you just never know what's out there that you're gonna stumble on that is valuable. You got to be looking everywhere all the time.
Yes, you just never know.
You didn't find any false teeth, did you?
No, but those sell too, I think.
Yes, they do. I've seen that, and some of the pieces are like bridges or just different types of pieces, and some have gold in them, and that's what they used to use, for fillings and all that stuff. And I have seen people that have found these false teeth, like dentures.
Yeah.
And what a thing to collect.
Exactly. What a thing to see. Like if you're walking in the dark, you see something smiling at you. Oh my gosh.
I just wonder where these end up. Are they in dental offices as conversation pieces? Or are they in like a dental museum? Is it just some guy that's a retired dentist and that's what he's doing now?
Yeah, or Halloween prop or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you could just sell anything. It's
yeah.
Yeah. So I see your comic books behind you. Is that a big part of your inventory?
No, just stuff that I found that was interesting. They're not the best condition, and I just like the way they look. Like I said, I guess again, I guess one of the reasons why I collected comic books because I like the art on the front of the covers.
Uh-huh.
And so I just guess I like these ones enough to keep them.
Are those like space creatures or what are they?
One of them is are you talking about in the comic books?
Yeah, the second one from the end there with the red, looks like red and gray. I can't tell what it is.
Oh, it's a comic book by Jules Verne, From the Earth
Yeah,
to the
it looked like a
Moon.
space
Yep.
creature.
Yeah, it's a space shuttle. Yeah, going to space.
Yeah, and comic books is one of those very specialized categories like coins and stamps and record albums. You have to know how to grade them, and
Yep.
collectors are very particular about everything about them. I sold them for somebody one time, and
Mm.
I just did it one time because I got so many questions and I didn't know. I was doing it on consignment.
Mhm. Yeah, I sold a record one time. I found it at Goodwill that I thought was very strange. I can't remember the lady that wrote these like symphonies. She claimed to be able to hear composers from the other side,
Oh, beyond the grave.
beyond the grave, and I thought it was very interesting. I'm like, and like these like Bach and Beethoven and all these composers, and she had composed all these new symphonies on this record. And so I'm like, you know what? For $1, I'll take a chance. Well, that record, I listed it. It sold probably within about 6 months, and it sold for $100. It was such an oddity that I couldn't pass it up.
So she's channeling these deceased
Composers, yeah.
musicians, yeah, and channeling their unfinished work.
Yeah, yep.
That's what it sounds like.
Hey, yeah, write this down.
All right, then. Well, that was a good sale. So
Yeah.
you should be the man that sells oddities. Like
Yeah.
your store name should be Oddities and Beyond or
Well,
something.
I think it's a smaller. If it's something you've never seen before, look into it. And if you can't find it on eBay, there's probably a good chance that if you're the only one, there's a good chance you could sell it, especially if you get it for really cheap. Grab it. It's worth it.
Yeah, the longer I do this business, the more I see that
Yes.
things I don't even have to look up. Just somebody's going to want this, or I've never seen that before.
Yep.
And you can't say that as a newer seller. You have to have some experience to understand what is weird, what is ugly. After a while, you just kind of get a feel for it.
Yeah, getting out there as often as you can. I know that each of us have our own busyness in our lives, but getting out there, doing your research, even if you have to just look online and look for stuff what sells. I've found stuff on Facebook Marketplace. You can turn around, grab that, and resell it if you don't have the time to get out somewhere. I've sold several printers also. Again, just buying them from people on Facebook and making a good profit on those. Where I like to find my inventory is mainly estate sales, and of course yard sales. Recently went to an estate sale a few months ago this year, and they had a bunch of 80s computer stuff. I got a printer that could probably fill up this whole desk.
Yeah, it's probably the size of your car.
Yeah. I got a couple of old computers, a bunch of manuals, a wiper motor for a Ford truck. I got all that for about $35. I've already sold the Ford wiper motor. That sold for $200. I paid $2 for that. The vintage computer manuals, I've already sold probably about 3 of those, one for $40, a 2-pack for like $70, and then a couple of discs for $20 a piece, and another one for $30. So just at that one estate sale. I still have 10 more manuals. I still have 2 more computers. I still have the list. That's at my death pile.
But books are so easy to list, even if they don't have a barcode.
Yeah.
They're so, you don't have to measure anything. You just take, picture the front and the back and a few pages, and it's pretty fast. So yeah, that's one reason people do media. Well, media that has barcodes, they can enter that into eBay and it just pulls it right up. So that's on my list of things to find, those automotive
Mhm.
manuals.
Yeah, and auto parts, of course, they sell for good money if you could find them. Pick
Mhm.
them up. Especially if this was new, old stock, never used. The customer gave me feedback and said, "This is awesome. Thank you so much."
The wiper motor?
The wiper motor, yeah, it was like from the 1980s, an F-150 old Ford, I think. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's a coincidence. A few weeks ago, I had to have my back wiper motor
Mhm.
disabled. It was, well, my car is a 2008, and I'm in this phase of life of like, let's see how long we can make things last.
Yeah,
It only
exactly.
has 130,000 miles on it, so I got a
Yeah.
long to go. But yeah, the wiper just decided to have a mind of its own, and it just would randomly come on, and then
Oh,
it
wow.
wouldn't it wouldn't turn off. And even if I shut the car off, it kept going. And I'm like, this is a problem because that rubber's going to get worn off, and like you can't just leave it going like that.
Yep.
So yeah, I went to have that addressed, and they told me the price to fix it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really need it. I don't hardly ever use it. And so they just disabled the motor and took it out so it won't work. It's
Oh,
fine.
wow.
I don't really need it. Most cars don't have that on the back anyway. Uh,
Exactly.
but yeah, they told me the price because it's an older car and
Yeah.
motor. And I'm like, yeah, I don't even drive 200 miles a month. I don't need to fix that. Like if it was the engine or something major,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
this was just like, no, I don't want to fix that. Like who has a motor, a wiper motor just at their house?
Right. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
was the guy a mechanic, or did they have that kind of car and they meant to fix it and they never did? I don't know.
Yeah, but when I went to pick up this motor, they had I think the truck was there. I think whoever they're in the state sale for, I think they may, I'm assuming they passed. And it was
Mhm.
probably an unfinished project that they were doing with the
Right.
truck. But they were
Yeah.
just sitting in there. The truck was for sale. It was tore apart. There's parts all around it. I wish I would have bought more, knowing that that would have sold so quickly.
Yeah, we all think that, or we think, "Ugh, why did I buy this?"
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
either, well, I should have bought more, or what
Yeah.
was I thinking?
Yeah. Well, I've cleared my inventory several times from stuff like, oh, this should sell. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's trial and error. That's why you buy low,
Yep,
sell
exactly.
high,
Yep.
so you can get
An
rid of.
investment. You win
Yeah.
some, you lose some.
Well, it sounds like you're just trucking along. Haha, get it, truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, Blending your 20 years of experience with a full-time job. But
Yep.
I think we, as eBay sellers, you never really turn it off. You're
No.
always, your antennas are always up all the time. You
Yes.
know, go into your regular job and you pass a trash pile. Oh, I gotta go check that out.
Yep. Yeah. One time I was driving down this road to work one morning, and I seen an old wooden clock on the side of the road, and it was one of the German cuckoo clocks, and it was a little broken in pieces, sort of, and so I just grabbed it, put it online, and it sold for $70. They were probably using it for parts, those little cuckoo was still
Mhm.
fully intact. There's some little decorative parts on there that, you know, there's free stuff everywhere. You can make money.
And
Even when
I
I was
think mechanical people and engineers buy broken things on purpose for the challenge of fixing them.
hmm yeah,
You know, like, oh, let me see what I can do with this.
yeah,
So I know people like that, like my son has this very analytical brain. He used to take things apart just so he could put them back together. And I'm
yeah,
like, walk in there, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, 8, and
yeah.
he's taking a clock apart, and he's like, I just want to see what's inside and how it works.
I actually did that too when I was a kid. I'd take things apart, put it back together. If it fell apart, and I'd put it back together and work again. That happened one time with me when I bought a Beta player.
Oh, Beta Max.
Yeah, it was one. I think it was like the second one made, in that year. I can't
Uh-huh.
remember the brand, but it wasn't playing right. I actually ordered because I didn't have any beta tapes. I want to test it, so I don't order them off eBay. And I'm getting a Lord of the Rings, or the Hobbit, actually, the Hobbit beta, because I thought it'd be kind of cool to play that on there. So I got that. It wasn't playing right, so I took it apart. I was watching all the gears go everywhere. And I'm just like, you know what? I paid $20 for this. I'm just going to start unplugging little wires and see what happens. And I unplugged one wire, and that was it. I put the tape in, perfect. It played perfectly. It rewound, it fast forward. I don't know what the heck I did. It was pure luck. I pulled out one wire and I sold it. I sold it for, I think it was around either $250 or $300 for this Beta Max player. And they were happy with it. It played perfectly. I just pulled one wire and I was lucky.
Magic touch. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
I just
so.
looked it up and it's Sony.
Sony, okay.
Did the Beta Max.
Yep.
Yeah. And then a few people got that. And then they came out with regular VHS.
Yep.
And everybody switched to that. We had both. I remember my mom went out and bought one as soon as they hit the market. Oh, this is fabulous. We can watch movies at home anytime we want. You know, that whole industry exploded. In fact, I saw something. It was one of those memes that circulates about Blockbuster. And they were referring to Netflix tightening up sharing your passwords, so like other people can't log in on your account anymore or something.
Oh, okay.
And so it was something like, you know, at Blockbuster, we didn't care how many people watched the video as long as you rewind and return it.
Yeah. Be kind and rewind.
Yeah. And that's what you would do, is you would rent a movie and then pass it around. You know, you'd have it for 2 or 3 days or something and then turn it. So yeah, that was like, yeah, well, Netflix is getting a little greedy.
Yeah.
Don't let you share your password. That's not going to work out very well.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. Well, we have made it to the end. And so I have a new question for the end of the interview. What are you reading now?
Well, I'm not normally a reader. I do listen to a lot of podcasts, but I actually started reading a book, and my wife just got me this book. We just started recently working out for the past couple of months, going 5 times a week, and I've lost some weight, but I'm trying to gain muscle mass, and it's like I can't lose weight and not get any muscle mass. And so she got me this book called Miracle Metabolism by Thomas Tadlock. Okay. And he talks about how our metabolisms, they control everything, you know, muscles, your weight, everything. And so I just started, so I just know that eating certain things and, you know, it'll help to, you know, get to where you need to be. Like, do you want to lose weight, or do you want to gain muscle mass, or do you want to be healthier? I started on this. We started, my wife and I started eating plant-based for the past few months, and I've probably not felt as good as I have in many years. I used
to. For you.
Yeah, I've done a lot of like industrial work, so I have aching back, aching feet, aching hands, and a lot of the foods that we're eating were like inflammatory type foods, which doesn't help, you know, with the aging process, because you start aching more. And,
yeah, I'm very familiar with that. When you eat the like potatoes and any nightshades and sugar and just you just feel terrible.
Yeah, I feel great. I don't ache anymore. I mean, once in a while, of course, you know, they come back a little bit, but it's rare now. I don't think I've been the way I've been eating healthier. I think I've been sick in the past year and a half, you know, and feeling great. I can run almost 3 miles, you know, in about 25 minutes, which, you know, I'm getting a little bit better each time I go, but
for you,
it
makes a world of difference when you feel good.
Yeah.
You're more productive, you sleep better.
Yeah.
You have a better attitude.
Oh, yes.
When I eat too much crap, I just I can feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was born in 1976, so I'm 47 now. So I'm just like, well, Brett, you're not getting any younger, and you got to keep your body as healthy as you can. So
I get one.
yep.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that last question for the listeners, so you won't be scared to come on the podcast, is either what's your favorite podcast or what book are you reading? Just to kind of, get into your personality a little bit. So you chose that question.
Yes.
Some people have emailed me. They're like, I want to come on your podcast, but like, I'm not a reader. Are you going to ask me that? I'm like, no, of course not. I'll ask you something else.
But like books, the only type of books I usually read would be like by Shel Silverstein, like with the Southern Winds and what's the other one? A Light in the Attic.
Did you do The Giving Tree?
I'm not sure.
Or is that somebody else? Yeah, that was one of my favorite books.
Yeah.
Sad, but it's you get the point.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for making the time to come on, Brett. It was good to hear all your stories and get to know you a little bit. And we'll watch for some more of your sales on the Facebook group, because you do post pretty much every week, don't you?
Oh yes. Yeah. Try to help out and answer questions and post some.
And I appreciate that. Sometimes a question will come through and I don't have time to answer it. And I'm like, somebody's going to get that one.
Yeah.
And so everything eventually gets answered. So
yeah. And plus, even if I don't know the answer, I try to find the answer. And plus it helps me with my education of finding that item also.
Yeah.
So and
it's just so easy on a Facebook group so many people just know this stuff, and they can answer very quickly. And that really is helpful for anybody, not just new people, because I don't care how long you've been doing this. There's always stuff that comes up that you don't know.
Right. Exactly.
Like, wait, how do I do that? I know you can do that, but I just never done it. So, like local pickup and, different things that happen. So I appreciate you answering questions. It's very helpful.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you inviting me onto the podcast.
Okay. Well, enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
That was so fun. It was such a pleasure to get to know Brett and his eBay business. And good luck with those 10 kids. I can't even imagine what your grocery bill is when all 10 of them are there at the same time. On to today's trivia question. Since Brett mentioned the relic Beta Max, the question is, what year was the Beta Max invented? Here's some time to think about it. Okay, the answer is May 10th, 1975. Beta Max is a consumer-level analog recording and cassette format of magnetic tape for video, commonly known as a video cassette recorder. It was developed by Sony and released in Japan on May 10th, 1975, followed by the U.S. in November of the same year. Here are a couple of facts about video cassette tapes. Betamax was produced in 1975, whereas the VHS tape came onto the scene in 1977. Betamax was actually produced prior to the VHS tape and was the first commercially successful videotape format. And Betamax tapes were produced until 2016. Despite losing the videotape format war and the entry of digital into the entertainment world, Sony continued manufacturing Betamax tapes until 2016. And that I did not know. I thought those were dinosaurs and they were gone by the 90s, so that was an interesting fact. Another fact, Betamax tapes had better picture quality than VHS tapes. Betamax tapes run at 250 lines while VHS is at 240. This is a very small difference, but in theory, Beta Max has slightly better picture quality than VHS. So there you have it. All you ever wanted to know about Beta Max and VHS, but were afraid to ask. Okay, that is a wrap for episode number 121. Next week, my guest is Nicole, whose husband actually reached out to me to try to get her to come on to the podcast. Yeah, we kind of ganged up on her. She specializes in fragrances and their containers, and she even sells the empties. So you will learn a lot from her. Thank you for spending the last hour with us, and I will talk to you next week. I'll end with a quote from Franklin Delano Roosevelt. "A smooth sea never made a good sailor." So you want to look at adversity as a time to grow and learn and just keep going. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.